What's up, guys? Welcome back to the poker vlog. We are back in Las Vegas at the Aria, looking for our 9th consecutive win today. Going to be playing some 2-5. It's a 200 to 1,000 max. So let's get in there and play some cards.
Yuletide gay and jolly.
Here we go. We buy in for the max 1,000. It's 11 a.m. so we're putting in a day shift session today. The game just started about 20 minutes ago, so most players have around 1,000, a few with 600-700. And we pick up ace deuce offsuit in the big blind early on. Under the gun straddle is on for 10. Middle position player limps, small blind calls, and I call the 5 more. 4 ways to a flop of 10, 3, 4, rainbow. Small blind starts reaching for chips but decides to check. With a gut shot and an overcard here on this ugly flop, I bet out 20. Straddler and middle position player fold. It's back to the small blind who makes the call. When he reached for chips on that flop, kind of tells me that he had a hand he wasn't sure about betting with, maybe a really weak 10 or a middle pair, some sort of straight draw. So with that in mind, the turn is a queen of clubs, and when he checks to me again, I bet 45, expecting those type of hands to fold, and he does.
So I can remember the board sometimes.
Thank you. A few hands later, I'm in the cutoff with pocket sixes. Under the gun limps and +1 raises to 25. Hijack calls, I call, button and big blind, and under the gun limper call. We go 6 ways to a flop of jack, 4, 5 with 2 clubs. It checks all the way around to me. I debate betting here, but tough to get through 5 players on a board like this. So happy to check, keep the pot small with middle pair here, and the button checks as well. We go to a beautiful turn card of the 6 of hearts, giving us a set now. Checks to the pre-flop raiser, who is now interested in the pot and bets $50. I think he bets the flop here with top set of jacks with 5 other players in the hand and flush draws and straight draws, so really my only concern is if he or someone else hit that gut shot with a 7-8. So with flush and straight draws out there, it's time to stick in a raise here and find out. I make it 150. Player on my left goes into the tank for about 15 seconds before finally making the fold. Gets back to the original bettor. He thinks for a bit and does make the laydown as well. About 30 minutes later, I'm back in the big blind with pocket aces. This is the 9th consecutive session with aces, and we are undefeated so far. The under the gun straddle is on. Unfortunately, it's folded all the way to me. I raise to 30. The straddler defends. We go heads up to a flop of 3-3 deuce. This player has been pretty active, so I like checking here as it's a better flop for his range than mine, and he might take a stab at it. He doesn't bite and checks as well. Turn is another deuce. I bet 25, and he folds instantly. Not a big pot, but just kind of an indication on how good I'm running so far since I started vlogging. Picking up aces at least once every session, and I haven't won any really big pots with them, but they are undefeated so far. Next, I have pocket 8s in middle position. I'm in the 1 seat and I look to see if it's my turn. I see the dealer take the cards from the 9 seat, so I raise to 15. Well, the 9 seat actually had his cards hidden, so I acted out of turn. Dealer holds the action. He sees my raise and throws out 15. Technically, he is the raiser now and I can re-raise if I want, but not really necessary to inflate the pot here early in position. And it just seems like good etiquette since I was the one that was out of turn. So I leave the 15 in, small blind and big blind call, and we go 4 ways to a flop of 5, 10, 9. It's check to me. Not a great board to bet here with 3 players to get through, so I check back. Turn is a 7 of clubs. It's check to me again. I have the open-ended straight draw now. Could go either way with a bet or check here. I opt to take the free straight draw and check. River is another 7. Check to the 9 seat, who bets 20 now. It's unlikely he checked a pair of 10s or 9s on the flop and turn, so it's either trip 7s or nothing here. I make the call and he shows king jack of diamonds, and we pick up another small pot. About an orbit later, I pick up ace king offsuit from middle position. Early player limps. I raise to 20. Active player on my left calls and limper calls. We had 3 ways to a flop of ace, 7, 8, all spades. First player checks. I mix in checking or betting here, but I lean toward checking here for pot control. Player on my left bets 40. Other player folds, and it's back to me. I'm not going anywhere with top pair here just yet. I make the call. Turn is a 10 of diamonds. Not a great card as some 2 pair and straight draw hands connect now. So I check, and he continues but sizes up to 150 this time. I'm a little suspicious now because earlier he made a check raise and a bet like this when he was pretty weak. So it seems like he's trying to push me out rather than look for value here. So I make the call looking for anything but a spade on the river. We don't get it, unfortunately. The river is a deuce of spades, so pretty much done with it now. I check and he bets 475. I fold and he shows the king of spades for the nut flush. So it's possible that he did flop it, but I don't think he makes a pot-sized bet on the turn with the nuts, but you never know. A few orbits later, I pick up pocket fives in the small blind. Middle position player limps. Cutoff raises to 20. I call. Big blind and limper calls. We go 4 ways to a flop of queen, deuce, deuce. I check and it checks around. Turn is a 10. I check again and it checks around. River is a queen. I think about betting $5 or $10 for value against ace highs here, but I just check and it checks all the way around. And this was interesting because all 3 players show ace jack offsuit, so we pick up a little pot there. Not very often do you have 3 players drawn dead to 2 outs, except after the turn they picked up a gut shot, so that was interesting. Next I have 6-9 of spades in the hijack. A few players are walking now and we are 5-handed. Under the gun opens for 10. He just sat down a few hands ago with 300. Next player calls, I call, and the blinds fold. We had 3 ways to a flop of 8, 7, deuce with 2 clubs. Both players check to me, so I bet 20 here with the open ender, just expecting to take it down right here, but it doesn't happen. The initial raiser makes the call. Turn pairs the board with a deuce of diamonds. Now he leads out here for 30. Earlier in my poker career, I'd probably just call or fold here since he's showing aggression, but both of those options sound terrible now. This bet is typically a defensive bet with a marginal hand or a draw, so he could have checked the flop with a set, but seems doubtful. He did that and is leading out with a full house now, so I stick in the raise to 105. I also know that he knows I can't really be bluffing here since he only has about 240 left. He ends up making the fold, and we take another one down. I know it's not a huge pot here, but I think it's important to highlight some of these. This is really the bulk of poker play. Battling for these smaller pots to increase your hourly. It's not always sitting around waiting for aces versus kings and set over set. This is where you're really going to increase your profits, so let's keep it going. About 30 minutes later, I have ace jack offsuit in middle position. Under the gun straddle is on. I raise to 35. Small blind calls and the straddler defends. Flop comes 8, 4, 3 with 2 spades. Both players check to me. Pretty ugly flop here, but it's likely neither player connected well with this board calling 35 preflop, so I bet 65 here, repping an overpair. Small blind folds, and the straddler makes the call. Turn is a 10 of clubs. He checks to me again. Pretty much a blank here, so I want to put all of his 1 pair holdings in a tough spot. Another reason I'm continuing with a bet here is because this opponent bluffed off his whole 1K stack in his first 5 minutes, running into a full house, so it's likely he'll tighten up to avoid getting in a deeper hole. If he has a set, we're going to find out right here. I bet 140. He tanks for a little bit and does make the laydown. About an hour later, I'm in the big blind with king-queen offsuit. New player on my left opens for 15. Cutoff calls, and I call the 10 more. We had 3 ways to a flop of jack 5-4 with 2 hearts. I check, and it checks through. Turn is a king of diamonds. I bet 20. Under the gun raiser folds, and the cutoff calls very fast, so it seems like he paired the king as well. River is a deuce. Sometimes I check here to induce a bluff from a hand like queen 10 or a missed flush draw, but the way he called me on the turn, I felt that he had a king, so I'm going for value here. I bet 50, and he calls. I show king queen, and it's good. He folds, so likely he had a king with a worse kicker there, and we take down another little pot. Next, I'm in the small blind with jack 7 suited. If you've seen some of the previous vlogs, this hand has been really good to me. +2 raises to 15. He's been tight. Cutoff calls, and I make the call. Flop is none other than king jack jack, flopping trips. I check to the aggressor. He checks, and the cutoff checks. Turn is an ace of hearts. So now we have trip jacks and pick up a flush draw. And another bonus is this likely paired up with one of my opponents here, so I lead out for 25. Only the original raiser calls, and I'm thinking he has just that, a hand like ace-queen. River is a blank, 8 of spades. I'm not sure how much he calls here with a hand like ace-queen, as he's probably thinking he's chopping at best, so I keep it reasonable and bet 60. He makes the call. Trip jacks are good. We're running hot. Okay, on to the last hand of the day. Usually once per session I'll play a hand blind or partially blind just for fun. Oftentimes it's when there's some dead money in there and I'm in a decent position. So here, the player on my left posted as missed blinds and the under the gun player limps. Seems like a perfect time. I look at the jack of hearts only and raise to 30. Folds back to the under the gun limper who makes the call. Heads up to the flop of king 3-3 rainbow. He checks to me. I continue for 40. And it doesn't get through. He makes the call now, so I better check and see what we have. The way I'm running, it might be jack 3, so let's check it out. Nope, it's jack 9. Not looking good. Turn is a 4 of hearts, and after he checks to me again, I'm trying to think what he limp called here under the gun. Most players are raising under the gun almost with every sort of king X holding, king queen suited, king jack suited, so now I'm starting to think he has like a medium-sized pocket pair, just calling on the flop to see what I do on the turn. So with that in mind, I keep the pressure on, bet 110. He asks how much it was and thinks for about 10 seconds and folds queens face up. So the run good continues. Not only are we holding up when we do flop a hand, but we're getting some nice flops to bluff at, and they all got through today. Makes you feel like you're doing something special, but I'm really not. Just trying to go with my read, pick some good spots, and hopefully it works out, and today it did. I have to work in a few hours today, so let's keep this streak alive. We got 9 in a row, picked up $405 today. So let's rack it up, call it a day, and we'll see you at the end of the video.
Alright guys, that's it. I really appreciate you checking out the video. Please hit the like and subscribe if you haven't already. Leave any comments down below in the comments section. Happy to get back to you there. Let me know what you think about that ace-king hand. That's the only hand I had any trouble with today. Do you think he flopped the flush or not? I don't know. I think I was ahead there. But let me know what you guys think. As always, at the end of every video, I put my stats right here. Since I started the vlog, this is 9 episodes, 9 winners. We're on a heater here. Let's keep it going for episode number 10. And let's cap off this video with one of my hardest card throws ever. Thanks for watching, everybody. Good luck on the tables, and we'll see you next Sunday.